Roughing the passer, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. Roughing the passer, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
All right. So, speaking of trade deadline, do you think that a lot of NFL teams are a little impatient and they may pull the trigger too quickly on certain players? And Buck, if you listen to the media, some of these quarterbacks that are picked in the top five, the media expects them to be Joe Montana by the third week of the season. And that's not fair. A lot of times it takes a quarterback not only time to develop, but also you got to put some pieces around him. Everybody
Right.
is not, Joe Burrow, so to speak, and go to a Super Bowl, really early on, or Dan Marino or something like that. But do you think that some of these teams are a little impatient with getting rid of people or possibly trading players who could really benefit their team if they just took the time to make sure they were in the right system or put the pieces around them?
Typically, when a team drafts a player, they draft that player to fit, to fit a certain team, to fit a certain system. Um, they evaluate these players, they go check them out, and if, you know, if they fit, then they try to make sure they get that particular player. And we've seen it so many times when a player, becomes a star on one team and then he gets traded, or he decides that he wants to go somewhere else and sign a big contract, that he doesn't fit their system. And even though he's got that big payday, he doesn't fit that new team system. Um, you know, I think that like today in the Claypool trade, this kid has only been there 3 seasons. And, they didn't give him the proper. Like I said again, I think he was better than Johnson because, he can get that combative catch. Now he had a down season last year, but things were starting to pick up for Claypool. And he's been in the trade room of the deal this whole time. Even a report came out said he wasn't going to get traded, and then next thing you know, he's with the Bears. Sometimes teams don't give these players, an opportunity to shine. And again, if they fit your system, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to fit a new team system. Analytics plays a lot in these, in a lot of the football situations in today's time. And I think teams need to do less of the analytic stuff and actually kind of go back to basics. So therefore they can actually, basing things on analytics is not going to win your football game. Sometimes you got to go back to basics and actually do things the old fashioned way when it comes to football. So, yeah, I do believe some of these teams are just jumping way too quick in making decisions.
And Ray, what do you think, man? Because I mean, maybe in a situation like when y'all had Khalil Mack, I don't know how you felt about him being traded or not, but do you think sometimes it's not necessarily? I know some players, I mean, some teams do it because they feel like they can't re-sign the person or they can't afford their contract, so they want to get something rather than let them walk free agency. And then I think other times some teams just ship people off because they're just not working out at the time. But do you think some teams are a little too impatient?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they have to be able to evaluate talent. If they don't evaluate the talent, they don't know what they have for the future. I know that can be difficult sometimes because a kid can show you a spark and all of a sudden he shows you nothing. But it's your job to coach that talent up out of him. And if you don't coach it up out of him, it can be now if the kid is lazy and all that, there's nothing you really can do with a kid if he doesn't have great work ethic. But if he's willing to work, he's willing to come early, stay late, leave. I mean, come in early, leave late. I think they really can develop the kid. But uh, I think a lot of times and now it's getting to the point they give up on quarterbacks. You know, Trey Lance. You really think they gonna really put that kid back in San Francisco? I don't, because I think Garoppolo was gonna take him pretty far this year. San Francisco is hanging in there, and they They have I don't know how many players hurt, we're not playing or whatever. So imagine when they get their full team back. So I mean, I think that teams they don't take the time that's needed to develop the player. I think it's either he's doing well or they're gonna move on. And I think that in a way, that's the way it should be in some cases. In other cases, I think they should develop the talent because you drafted him and you put time into him. You might as well see it all the way through. So, yeah, but I think they could give him more time and just have a better coaching staff.
And yeah, I think that people get caught up maybe with all the media hype behind a person, and then the media, like I said, they on these talking head shows that are on 24/7, they got to have something to talk about. They'll praise a team one week, then condemn them the next week after a bad loss and stuff. So I don't. I would hope that certain office personnel didn't get caught up in that. But especially when it comes to quarterbacks, you really got to have some patience because we see Daniel Jones is playing better. And I'm not going to say that Daniel Jones is ever going to be great, but we see that he's playing better with a healthy Saquon Barkley. Maybe if he has some better receivers, he can be doing even better than what he's done. We'll see if Justin Fields will get better if Chase Claypool being there now. And so, but we saw people want to get rid of Jalen Hurts. Now he's doing what he needs to do. People wanted to get rid of Tua Tagovailoa, and now he's doing what he needs to do. So sometimes the right fit or the right system or the right coaching can really help someone excel. So I don't know. I think a lot of guys rush to judgment a little too fast, and then you have people like Jerry Jones who holds on to people too long. So sometimes you have the opposite. But going forward, we'll see if some of these moves that have been made that they'll pay off for some of these folks.